Saw the money and got activated. Saw that money and got activated. I saw that money and got activated. Canada Goose. Keep me wearing my cold city. I got a pole with me. Glock on 450.
What is up, guys? In the last video, you guys watched us take this on its first test drive, its first official test drive, and everything went fairly good. Obviously, you can notice a fairly big difference in the car since the last time you saw it. I didn't film me putting any of this stuff together just because I don't like filming me doing things that I don't know what I don't want to look like a lost. Like, I don't want to lead someone in the wrong direction and watch me screw something up a bunch of times if I don't know what I'm doing. So I kind of went through trial and error putting this front end together, because if you don't know, I bought this car in pieces. I've never owned an E36 before, nor have I taken one apart. So I was kind of guessing on a lot of things. But we got the front end together. We got it full of coolant, got the cooling system bled, potentially fixed the clutch issue. Not quite sure on that quite yet. And pretty much this thing is good to go. The MAF was giving us some issues where the car would start and then it would completely just shut off after. It wouldn't hold idle. Once I unplugged it, it fixed it, so it probably just needs cleaned or replaced. But the biggest thing is the exhaust. The exhaust, if you don't know, it's just open headers right now. It's ungodly loud, and we have to fix that, especially taking it on our first test drive, which we actually drove it on the road and got gas. It was incredibly loud, and the car is really down on power because it doesn't have that back pressure that the naturally aspirated engines need. So I picked up 20 foot of exhaust piping. One stick of it is over there. We had to cut it down to get it in the car, but now I'm going to start mocking stuff up. We have this piece already cut here to go from the two headers, because it has 3-to-1 headers. So we're going to go down to one exhaust pipe and then run it that way. So right now we're trying to fab something up for that. But I have a resonator on the way. A resonator should be here Monday, but we are going to start fabbing this exhaust up now. So without further ado, let's get to work. Now that we got our first section cut, you'll notice that we're not going to make it to this exact pipe because this is 2.5. So as you see here, this will work completely, but it does have some gaps. So what we're going to do is we're going to oval this out. We're basically just going to hammer it to shape, and then we'll just weld this completely around, and it'll have plenty of biting area, and it'll have a good tight seal. So that's where we're going to start out. This isn't as long as we're going to need it. We're going to have to put a 45 in here somewhere, but I want to see where that 45 is, and we either might pie cut it or just cut a 45 into it that way, instead of going and buying a pre-bent one just for the sake of it. And I kind of want to learn a little more about pie cuts. Okay, so now that we have a nice tight fit here, we're gonna just tack weld this on. I'm not gonna actually weld it on. Okay, so we kind of mocked it up under the car, and we decided that the 45 is gonna have to start here. So we're gonna cut this off here, and then we're gonna have to try and make some pie cuts. Because if you look here on the hard body, I cut like an angle and welded it that way, and that just looks like junk. It literally looks like I used like fence post tubing or something. So we're gonna try and attempt to make some pie cuts. I don't think we're gonna need very much, and the good thing is I don't think we'll have to return it at all. So it should just be like a couple, like 2 pie cuts that we have to make, and I'll have to figure out how to make those because I've never made any. But we're about to cut this now, and we'll try that next. Okay, so we got our first 2 pieces of the pie cut made. Not sure. I think we might need one more section on this, but I'm gonna deburr this real quick and then probably tack weld it and see where that gets us. For those that don't know, painter's tape works really good for like mock-up tape. You can kind of tape the pipe up to where you want it to be and kind of mock things up that way. So I did kind of put this under the car, and we will need like one more pie cut there to get it where we need to, and it looks like we might have to put one more section of pie cuts in, possibly two more, but I won't really know yet. So we are going to cut another pie cut, and then that should be good. And if that ends up being good, we could probably go ahead and weld this section up, or at least tack weld it. We'll probably just tack weld it until we get everything done. So that way, if there's any changes that need to be made, we can easily just grind the tack welds down and start over. Okay, so we finally have the last pie cut on there, and it looks like it's going to hit the degree we want it to. The only thing is we need to cock the elbow up, you know, to where it's pointing the pipe up a little higher, because if you look closely, it's pointing kind of down. We got to rotate this a little bit, but we're going to go ahead and tack weld this section on here. But before we do that, I want to cut a little bit of it off with the bandsaw, and then we will tack weld it, and then we can start tacking each individual one of these in until it's the right degree, and then ultimately tack our last final section on for our straightaway. Then we'll be able to run a straight section, but I think the resonator is probably going to be in that section somewhere. So we may not run that tonight. We might wait until we get our resonator in. We'll see. Alright, so we got this, my first section of pie cuts done. I have to say that for my first ever time cutting pie cuts and even welding pie cuts, I'm pretty impressed and I'm pretty happy with the result. It looks sick. Hang on. The furnace has been doing this right before it shuts off. I don't know why, but we're gonna let that kind of go away for a second. Okay, so as I was saying, so for my first time ever cutting pie cuts and welding them, I'm pretty happy and or impressed. The only thing that I can see that's aesthetically an issue, not technically, you know, it's not going to affect anything structurally or performance, but this first pie cut technically should have been cut in half and been like another degree. So it's just too fat, and it's not nearly as like aesthetic as the other two pie cuts. Whereas you can see this one's super thin. There's no consistency, and that's probably mostly because I don't have like a set degree bandsaw. Like I just basically have to freehand it. Now if I had like a chopped bandsaw with like a degree cut, that would be a lot easier to do, which I'm gonna try and invest in something like that soon, because it makes life so much easier for cutting stuff like this. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. We can't really do much more from this point today, just because I want to wait for the resonator. I don't want to run the pipe too high or too close to the floor until I get that in, because if I remember right, according to the description on the resonator, it said that the resonator itself is 4 inches in diameter. Obviously it's 2.5 to go to this, but I don't want to make it too close to the floor where the resonator is going to hit the floor. So that, and I also want to order a exhaust hanger kit, ones that are like pre-bent or ones that I can bend, and that way we don't have to worry about that. The biggest thing when I've made exhausts, like I half-assed did the exhaust on the hard body with a flux core welder a long time ago, and it literally always, it was a piece of crap. Ended up falling off, as you can see. And it's because I've never really took my time with any of it, and partially because I've never really had the right tools. So we are going to do the proper hangers and stuff. Another thing I was thinking is, judging by how like sick this ended up looking, I almost kind of want to, instead of getting a like muffler tip, I almost want to make a pie cut tip like they do in like over in Australia and Japan, because that's like a really popular thing. But I was thinking about making, like I said, a pie cut tip and maybe make it out of 4-inch or 3-inch, and either make the pie cut just point straight down or kind of just come out and like angle, either point straight down or kind of just come out and angle a little bit like to this direction. I'm not sure. I don't know if I'll do that 100%, because the other thing that I'm slightly worried about is I don't know if a resonator is going to be enough to quiet this thing down, because it doesn't have anything else. So we might need that muffler tip to kind of quiet the car down. So that's the other dilemma. But for now, that's going to be it. It'll be a couple seconds for you guys, but it'll be a couple days for me. So I'll see you in a couple seconds. Okay, so as you guys saw, we got our resonator in, which came in I think 2 days earlier than I expected. It works out perfect because this slides directly over our pipe with a nice tight fit. It's stainless, so it'll never look like crap. And the only thing we're really waiting on for the exhaust system is hangers. We ordered, I think, 6 hangers that are bendable and weldable. So those are supposed to be really nice quality, and I think those are supposed to be here like Tuesday, but that doesn't prevent us technically from putting the exhaust completely on. We'll just have to find ways to support it in the meantime. But I think the good news is I think we should be able to hear the e36 with a exhaust on it today. If not, at least hearing it run with the resonator on, we should be able to. We picked up the 2 sleeves that we need for these, because I don't want to make the exhaust like welded onto the car, because I want to be able to make it removable. So that's what we got these, because these will slip over. So I'm going to actually weld these onto here, but this is going to slip onto the downpipe on the car, and then it's just going to be clamped, which I'm not really a fan of. This is probably the jankiest part of our exhaust system so far. Not that it's not going to work, but it's just, you know, the typical AutoZone galvanized looking pipe, and it's janky to me. But I don't want it to be permanently like welded on the car, and welding on the car, you know, I really should put V-bands here, but I wasn't, I don't feel like pulling the headers back off the car to weld anything, and I'm not going to weld it on the car. So this is what this will do for now. So we're going to weld these on to here now, and then we will put this on the car, figure out if we want to put the resonator right off of this, or if we want to put it further down the line, and I'll catch up with you guys then. Okay, so the last I left off with you guys, we were welding on those adapters to the Y pipe, I guess you could call it. And we actually got those fully welded. What ended up happening is we ran out of gas when we were welding our pie cuts, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong with the welder, so I kept welding, and the welds were like terrible. When the welds previous to that, when I welded the resonator on, were like great, I haven't had a problem. Realized I ran out of gas, so it like ruined the pie cuts pretty much. So I got pretty frustrated, didn't pick up the camera or anything. But now we're basically to the point where everything from the front section is completely welded. What we are doing now is we are running the section from basically the axle back. So we're cutting pie cuts to kind of angle the exhaust to come out where the cutout is. So right now we are cutting a 3-foot section, and that's the last section of the exhaust. And at this point we have to kind of figure out the angle that we need the pipe to come out. and then fully weld that. But I'll show you guys the white pipe and everything. We're gonna pull it back out. It looks like garbage, but it will work. So yeah, when we get to that point, I will pull it out and show you guys. But for now, we're gonna cut this 3-foot section. Okay, so this is pretty much the whole exhaust run, which is when you look at it on the ground, it's actually a pretty simple, pretty easy run. I'm sure there's some areas where I could have used tighter bends, but we're gonna see how this works. It's pretty simple, so it should be really easy to change. I put the resonator pretty far up, so that way if we want to add another one or change something up back here, to be nice and easy. We basically just have to weld this section here, and this will be a complete exhaust system. The 2 connectors up here, those will get clamped on, and then after we weld this, we're going to start figuring out where we're going to put some hangers. So I ordered about 6 of these. We probably won't even use 6 of these. We might use 2 or 3. My plan is to basically just riv nut this to the floor, bend these around the pipe, cut them, whatever we got to do, just to support the exhaust, and that should be pretty easy to do, hopefully. And then from that point, we'll have a full exhaust, and we can finally take the car off the jack stands for the time being. And yeah, but I'm gonna get this welded up now. Okay, so under the car, we've got 2 riv nuts in where we want our hanger, which I'll show you in a second. But I marked, so basically where this rod hits the exhaust, I marked where it needs to be bent. So I'm gonna try at first to put it in the vise and bend it that way. I may have to heat it up, I'm not sure. Everyone on the reviews was saying that it was easily bendable, but we'll see. So I'm gonna try and bend that real quick. We will have to weld all the hangers underneath the car while the exhaust is on the car, just because, or at least I could probably tack them and then pull the whole exhaust off, but we'll kind of see what's easier as we go. Okay, so we did get that one to bend. It took a decent amount of strength and a little bit of heat, but I have a feeling it will fit perfectly. So let's run under here and check. So as you can see, there are 2 riv nuts there, and we're going to take our hanger here and oh, it fits perfectly. Look at that. All right, so we're going to screw this in and probably tack weld it, move to the next hanger, then pull the whole exhaust off again, properly weld every single hanger, and then finally put the exhaust on permanently. So on this back one, we decided to go over the pipe instead of under, so that you couldn't see the hanger from the back of the car, like driving behind it. It should still hold up and work just as good as long as the welds are good. So that's kind of why. This should really be bent a little bit more, but this is all I could get it to bend, and I ripped the vise off my table, which wasn't really anchored down all that well anyways. It was literally lag bolted to like plywood and like part of a 2x4, but we're gonna slap this in there, The other hanger we were able to fully weld in the car, so hopefully we can do the same with this and we don't have to pull the exhaust back off, and then we can get this thing on the ground, get some sound clips. Alright, here goes the moment of truth to see if the hangers are doing their job. We're going to lower the exhaust. Oh, it looks like the hangers dropped about a ½ inch, which is what I expected. Alright, nice and strong, got lots of flexibility. I am stoked about that. So there's hanger number 1, hanger number 2. I am pretty freaking hyped up. This is by far some of the best exhaust work I've ever done. I just took my time with it. I'm super excited, super happy with how it turned out. I'm gonna throw the clamps on this front section real quick, get the car on the ground, and we'll get some sound clips. Okay, so we got the clamps on up front on the downpipe, and I figured before I set the car down I would kind of roll under here and show you guys. So this is what it ended up turning out to look like. Resonator, our exhaust hanger, and then the bend down there and the exhaust hanger. The exhaust right there at that section will probably be the lowest part of the car, aside from the diff brace maybe. You know, I made the exhaust to where if the car was completely with the suspension hanging down that it wouldn't hit, which, you know, it'll realistically probably never get to the point where it would, but just out of precaution. So I'm going to get this car off the jack stands and sit it on the ground and let you guys hear it. Alright guys, so as you guys saw, this thing spit a freaking like 4-foot flame out of the back of it. It does smoke a little bit. I'm hoping that's just from it not running and stuff. You got to think this car's been sitting and has practically no cats or hardly even a resonator. I did take it on a small lap around the shop and it is definitely too loud, so we might have to even order a resonator and a muffler tip to get this thing quieted up. I don't know. I could try a muffler tip, just a muffler tip, and try and see how that goes. But I have a feeling that it's going to be more than that. So that's going to pretty much be it for this video, guys. In the next video, we will hopefully try and get some street miles on this thing if it's not too loud on the road. Basically, the only thing we need to do that is we need to clean the MAF, and we need to wire in our fans, which we have our relay kit over there. So I think I'm going to come up here tomorrow and wire that up, hopefully, And I'm gonna have to raise the car because I can't turn, which is common sense. I mean, look how slammed it is. So raise the car and all that stuff and throw a hood on it and hopefully put some street miles on this thing. So with that being said, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Deuces.